Good morning, everyone. Welcome to your regular podcast, Knowledge Empowers. As always, with you is me, Ket. 안녕하세요. Then we have Koláč.
Čaute.
And we have Baruš.
Hello.
And we have a super surprise because today we are in a professional studio, so it will be totally different. So let's see how it will go. I'm so not used to looking at so many cameras. It's like, one is over here, something there and something there. And I don't even know how to sit and...
As comfortable as possible, you know.
I'll be looking at you guys.
Oh no.
I prepared a very important question for you guys. And this is, guys, where you will see the age difference. So we started November, and that's a very big day for Slovakia or Czechoslovakia.
No shave November, right?
Exactly, that's why you start shaving.
I started.
Hold on. Bye.
But it's not gonna be too much different, you know, at the end of November.
And the question is, how much do you remember from November 17th? Or let me ask differently.
Last year.
How old were you?
Like last year, November 17th?
No, 1989.
Okay, so that was like 6 months. About.
Oh,
yeah, so I remember like zilch. Nada.
You had breast milk for breakfast, probably. That's what you remember.
That's probably, I haven't asked this question yet. So, Mom, if you're watching,
Mom,
please let me know.
Baruš?
I don't know what I had for breakfast, but I was around 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I also don't remember much, but I remember snippets like of my life. Some things like how world looked different from today.
So I'll tell you what I remember. I was 9. We were watching TV, and on a TV were like so many people on námestí SNP. It's a square here in Bratislava, and people were like tingling with their keys. And I was like, Mom, can I turn it to some other channel? This is not interesting. And she was like, no, you cannot. I'm like, So I went to my room. That's what I remember. And then the next day when we went to school, that instead of saying comrade teacher, we had to suddenly say Miss teacher, and it just so didn't went there because it was, for years we just say comrade, and now like Miss, huh? So in that case it changed. So that's what I remember from this aspect.
Actually, now that you were talking about this ringing with the keys, I might have been there. My mom was talking a story that she was ringing with the keys, using them. So maybe I was there with her if I was like half of a year old. So maybe I was direct part of it. Yeah, I was there on the spot,
But if I was a mother, I wouldn't go with my baby into such situation.
Well,
because you don't know what would happen. Now we know what happened, but at that time
bricks being thrown, right? Yeah.
Well, it is called Velvet Revolution because no one died.
Yes, but it's called Velvet Revolution after it happened. So.
But I'm not gonna read few facts, so I need to use Wikipedia. That's the most smartest page in the world.
No, it's not.
It is.
but it's easy source.
Yeah.
Easy source, yeah.
So actually, the whole revolution, guys, what we mean by the word Velvet Revolution means we finished with the communism regime and we went to a democracy regime. And the revolution took part from November 17 to December 29th. And it's called we call it actually Summit Revolution, velvet in English, but it's Summit, because there was no one died, there were no shooting or beatings, etc. And the initiators of this revolution were actually students. And then actors joined the students, and then other groups start joining the students. But the students were the one that led the revolution until our freedom, let's say.
Freedom! Scotland!
Slovakia.
Yeah, Slovakia.
Czechoslovakia.
And
still Czechoslovakia.
And so we were still Czechoslovakia, and that brings us to the 90s.
Jesus.
Okay. Yay!
Yay! So, how much do you remember from the 90s? Because 1989, we are now in democracy.
Yes.
So how much do you remember?
I actually remember one thing. I remember very related thing to this. I remember money being changed from Czechoslovakian crown to Slovak crown. I remember we had these very nice, colorful banknotes. And I was like, yeah, this is nice. It was worth it. We have nice new money. So that's all I remember. Yeah. And I remember, it's funny because when you look at, it wasn't like somebody snapped their fingers and everything changed. Some things were still like from the previous regime. I remember on the physical education, PE, in the school, we still wore this kind of like stupid blue knickers.
And guys had the red one.
Yeah, guys had red shorts.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this was like kind of like leftover from the previous regime. And it slowly changed, like people could wear whatever they wanted. But this was like really stupid, like the girls were wearing these blue knickers for PE. So that's what I remember.
So I remember because what happened after the November, many people went here, the side that like Děvinska, Petržalka, that's where we had these iron curtain, literally. And people went there to cut it and so on. And that was the first time we were allowed to go to Austria. And so my mom packed us all in the car. We were waiting about 2 to 2.5 hours in front of the borders just so we could cross to Austria. And I think we just went to Hainburg, which is like less than 10 kilometers away. And they went for coffee, like the coffee would be different, but it's like it's different because you are in Austria. I don't know. I was a little kid. I was 10, and so I remember at that time Austria had shillings as money, and so they gave us about 5 shillings to each, and that we can go to shop but that's our budget, and whatever we'll buy, that's it. And I remember that being in the shop, in the grocery shop in Austria, and they had so many options. Because we didn't have it here, and like a kid, I was just like looking at all the colors and everything, like, wow, and I think I bought Kinder egg, Kinder surprise egg, because it wasn't here, so I think that's what I bought. And we were sitting with the moms and like eating whatever we bought and just like, wow, it's just so different, and. Today, when I look at it, that you just crossed the borders, like they are not even there, because we are part of the EU, it still seems strange. And I still remember we went with Sonja and Vierka and my niece to Naschmarkt in Vienna. And we went there by train, and we were sitting, it was 9 p.m. in a Naschmarkt drinking Aperol Spritz. And for me, it was still like, I can't believe that I sit in the middle of Vienna in the evening and I drink alcohol or whatever, just drink a drink, and I just could get here. Whereas my niece, who is she was born in the 90s, so for her it's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, we were not allowed to get here. I still sort of get it that it's something forbidden, like if you are eating forbidden fruit, that I'm literally sitting here and I can. And I don't need a passport, and I was just like, by train, I came here and there. And that feeling was still an unbelievable feeling.
I so much got used to what you were just describing, like when we are going for the vacation, Greece, Italy, France, whatever you go without passport. So I can't even imagine like when I'm going outside of European countries, like going to Egypt, like you need a passport. Like, I need what?
What is passport?
What's passport? You need visa. How do I feel? Like, why?
So what's the point?
What's the point? Yeah, exactly. So, like, here is my ID. You know? No, we need more. Like, what for? Like, okay. So that's something I can't imagine. Like,
I remember. So in '98 was when I went to UK, and we had a visa with UK at that time. That when you came to Dover, they put sort of like a stamp and put like 2 years. And I was in UK for 6 months something. And about 6 months later, they gave us a proper visa that you had to go to an embassy. And there were like huge queues waiting in front of the embassy just so you could get to UK. And then 2004 is when we joined EU. Is it 2004, 2009, 2004? And
Totally.
and
That's
so-
a really important date for us, you know, joining the EU and getting joining Schengen,
Yeah,
getting
yeah,
euros.
yeah.
Those are important dates, so we remember all of those.
But then suddenly, no visa. And that feeling, I remember when I was 19 and I was making that decision which country I'm going to visit or gonna live to again practice my English, blah, blah, whether UK, America, or Australia. And I was 19 and I know that I was not at the university, so I wouldn't get visa to America at all. Like I'm Untermensch, like I'm nothing. Like, and then UK, we had also visa and we had visa to Australia. But in Australia, with the visa, you could also get work permit, but not in UK. And actually Australia was much cheaper compared to UK. So that's how I ended up in 2000 in Australia, because 3 months in Australia from the money-wise, plus you could work, was 1 month in UK. So that's how I ended up there. And the fact that few years later, no visa whatsoever, and the situation also with America changed so much. All you go is you fill out some ESTA form, you pay $14 or euros, and then you have visa, go and travel. That's it. Whereas previously, I remember when I was getting my visa to Australia, I had to even go for an RTG of my lungs.
Same for me for China. Yes.
Just so I would not bring either tuberculosis or something.
Okay.
And my passport was at the embassy for like 2 weeks or something, and I had to fill lots of form. Today, when we travel to Australia, again, you just fill out the form, done, 22 euros, and off you go, and you travel. It's just unbelievable. And all changed is that we've joined EU. That's all that changed.
So in 2000, I still remember my memories. Not Australia, just the primary school. So still just the primary school. I was like 11 years old. So yeah, you can guess what I've been doing, like math and apples. You know, like you take few of the from the basket and you give some back how much you have. So not much has changed for me when it comes to that. So math stayed the same.
telling to your teacher, Miss Teacher, never accommodate.
Yeah, but you know, I never had the opportunity to even say comrade at first. So.
Did you have, because really after the Summer Revolution, so before, guys, all of us had a mandatory Russian. So as soon as you went to your 5th grade, you had to study Russian. And so after the Velvet Revolution, suddenly you could choose German, English, French, and that's it, I think, just those 3 languages. But all the teachers that were teaching this
So much choice.
So much choice.
were the Russian teachers. So they were like 2 lessons ahead of you to be able to give you the lessons. So
Actually, in my case, because I started to go to school in 1992. So that was when after we split with Czech Republic. And actually, I started to go for English lesson already in the 1st grade, not the 4th grade. No, 5th, 4th, yeah, 5th. I mean, yeah, I started with other children on 5th, but I had like a pre-English lessons when I was 6. And I remember actually all of my teachers were superb teachers for English. I could, like when I look back now, I think those teachers were the teachers that were like those enthusiasts that were actually secretly learning English during the communism. And you could see the enthusiasm in their classes because they're like, they really loved English. So I think I was lucky in that sense.
my English teacher at elementary school, I don't know if she had foreigner husband, but like she really had like awesome English. And she told me I'm stupid and that I'll never learn English I speak like Chinese, not
Oh
it's
my
a Chinese,
God.
not English.
I wonder if she spoke Chinese.
Yeah, I don't know. And but I should stop even trying. So
Oh my God. that people shouldn't be allowed to teach.
so
I'm not sure. Sometimes it helps.
see, even till today, I still remember her. So
I remember.
Mahan Hansal Imida, I still remember it. AKA, I'm 41.
So we were studying these rocks on nature studies, and I still remember one of the pupils, one of my friends. He had the granite in front of him, and he wasn't able to tell what it is. Like she was asking, okay, so what do you have? And he was like, I have no clue. So she grabbed it with the rock, smashed him in the head, and was like, this is granite, put it in there. I think that he never forgot how granite actually feels and looks since then. So that's how you actually get really specifically and verbally the knowledge into your head, you know. This is how you get it embedded. So that all this old school system had something into that, you know. Like I don't think that I would use that, but I still remember one thing, and I'm not sure actually if it changed. Standing up at the beginning of the classroom when the teacher started.
Oh yeah, that's what we had to do.
I know that we had to as well, but I'm not sure if it still persists.
That I don't know.
I know that it was really strange when a professor on my university came and asked it from us. That was really weird on the university to stand up at the beginning when the professor came in. Like I was like, but you know, like we are at the university, we are equals. Like, why am I supposed to stand up right now? Okay, I'm gonna stand up, but it's like really, really weird to do. So I'm not sure if that still is there.
Whether that's valid, I don't know.
Do
you have
my
kids?
sister? I'll ask my sister.
How old is she? 6. Okay.
But did you had at the beginning of the school semester, so September, that there was an item in the radio and you had to like stand up? Did you had that? We had that during the socialist time.
We had some ceremony, but I don't think it was anthem. We were everybody was on the playground. There were some speeches, something like that, but I don't think that we had our national anthem being played there. Definitely not on a high school. I'm not sure about the elementary school.
So that's what we had.
It's funny how when you look at history of Slovakia, it's actually very short. Slovakia is younger than all of us, really. It's amazing how many changes in such a short time happened politically and culturally.
It's really so much. I listened to one podcast and Mr. Hrib, he said, the question was, would you prefer Czechoslovakia or Slovakia? And he said, Czechoslovakia should never split. And it's interesting to see the older generation saying we should stay as brother and younger brother. But it's so hard to make the decision what's better. Because I see where we are far ahead from Czech Republic, then I see where we are far behind Czech Republic. And I remember when we were together, we always had that syndrome of a young brother. So I think, I don't know, it's so hard to say, was it good to split up? Was it not good to split up? We had two languages. It's two different cultures.
I don't know. I think that the syndrome of a younger brother will always remain. Like now we have West versus East, you know, like Košice and Bratislava compared to that. Like, and so you will say like, oh, in Košice we are so behind when it comes to Bratislava or Prešov, like, whatever. It happens, you know, like there will be regions which are more developed and the regions which are less developed. So when it comes to the syndrome, it's just natural. I'm not sure if that's one of the things, you know. I like that we were much stronger when we were together as a country, you know. So when it comes to military, medicine, school system, everything was better when it was combined. So that's one thing I miss about that.
When the first Czechoslovakia was created, we could only thank to the Czech people because that's where the intelligence was. And they actually took the intelligence and brought it to the even eastern part of Slovakia because we didn't have the intelligence. There was only Pozsony, aka Bratislava, and that was it. So that's how we could start growing up. So that's, guys, Velvet Revolution or Summit Revolution and how much we remember from it.
Which is not much.
Not much.
Not much.
Still worth to study. And then I want to really dig deeper about the 90s. So I was a teenager.
Okay.
What? And there are a documentary series called Mafiánske historky, I think, or Mafia.
Mafia stories.
Mafia stories.
Okay.
And those foreigners who live right now in Slovakia, you probably didn't know, but there was lots of kaboom in Bratislava.
Lots of what?
Kaboom.
Kaboom.
Lots of bombs just went
Okay, that's what you mean. Okay.
either under the car or
Okay.
someone was trying to start the car and it just went kaboom. So
Fireworks, no.
no. So the 90s, Mečiar got in. He became the prime minister. We had lots of privatization. Not a clear tenders. Everything was about the money.
Is it clear now? No, okay.
I don't know whether today they will take that person, hide him, kill him, and sort of
Not just send him off somewhere far away, you know.
so visibly as it went in the 90s. But so when I was 16, we used to go to either like KGB or the discotheque 39.
So KGB is a title of a pub, right?
Yes, KGB
Okay,
is the
okay,
title of a pub.
Okay, just so you know,
it
because
still exists. It's
because KGB is also something
Ah,
else,
yeah,
you know.
yeah, no.
And I guess you didn't went there.
no. This is pub, and still students go there because it's cheap. And so
The pub, not KGB.
we are not in Russia. And I remember there was one guy, Žalud was his nickname. No, we're not gonna translate. That's his nickname.
Okay, that's his
It's
nickname.
like a name. And he preferred younger girls.
How much
And my
younger?
friend was like younger, like below 15.
Oh
Okay.
God.
And my friend was like, no, he's gonna take us home. I'm like, what? Okay. And he
With
had
this guy?
with this guy. So we were three girls and he was taking us home. So he had one guy with him, and the guy just went like on the floor and looked under the car. And I'm like, what's happening? Why is he looking under the car? And she was like, if there is no bomb. I'm like, what? And then the guy had to go sit inside and start the car. And only then we were allowed to go and sit inside. And I'm like, okay. So that's my personal story that I have experienced. It was very strange. Later, the guy has been shot by a sniper.
How much later? 4 hours?
No. Few years,
Okay.
because he grew from he used to do during the socialist money exchange from Tuzeks, etc., and then he grew to really a big
Business.
I don't know if it's a businessman when you then don't pay your partners, but
It's a crooked businessman.
Or smart, depends how you look on it.
so he got his hands on lots of properties that before belonged to like Slovakia or state owned, now to private owned. So yeah, he was shot by a sniper. So that's my personal story with someone that actually took me home. And then the other one that happened to me, I was already 19, and we were sitting next to Chumil. There was a restaurant.
Chumil is a statue in Bratislava.
Correct. And we were sitting at the terrace. I was there with my boyfriend having lunch, and a random guy walked into the terrace and started beating people. He literally just went from table to table and just punch and then punch. And then he came to the middle table, and there was these two guys sitting. One had cast on his hand and sitting, and the guy punched him, and this one just looked at him. He pulled the gun out and shot him. And we were all sitting there like, what just happened? Then these two guys stood up and just freely walked away.
Oh God. Okay.
And then
Left the body there.
they left the body there. No one even was like coming to the body yet. It was like so surreal. The whole terrace just stood up, like really went like out, you know. Like,
No shit, Sherlock.
and then it took about another 40 minutes till the first police person came.
How much?
40 minutes.
Oh my God.
And I was like, whoa, okay.
I'm still surprised that the terrace just moved a bit aside, you know, like
Yeah,
stay there, like
just
there's a
watched.
dead body, man. Like,
No first aid,
Yeah, like,
nothing, nothing.
okay, I'm gonna have my cup of coffee and drink it, watching the dead man, like just like the guys went out, waiting 40 minutes until the police comes. Okay, sure, why not?
So that
Like,
was,
what the hell?
these were the 90s here, and it's crazy.
Disclaimer here, guys. This is experience of one person. I mean, it could be representative or it could be not. We don't know because both of us were in Bratislava at the time. So I don't know, like how unique is your experience, Kat? Like, do you think other people had similar experience at the time?
I don't know how unique is that experience, but I remember my mom. We were really like small kids, and it probably had something to do with that period of time because suddenly loud noises were outside, like okay, like somebody's shooting or something, and my mom was shouting, "Get down, get down!" And she was like then going to the window and slowly peeking out, like what's going on? Who's shooting who? Or what's happening there? And guys, get up! That's fireworks. So like she was so scared that something is happening out there that she told us to really like go lay down because you may get shot. Some misfire will happen or something like that.
My mom always told us like avoid black big cars.
Yeah, because it was, so the 90s, we had lots of mafia families here. And I don't know if I can say thankfully, but mostly they were all killing each other. But time to time, there were these random that you just randomly walked there and it was an unfortunate. But we had a group here that if you wanted to be a businessman, businesswoman in the 90s, forget about it. Like as soon as you open a restaurant or any type of a services, mafia was there and you had to pay a fee not to be your place to be burned down. And if you stop paying, it just got burned down or you were beaten or it was so normal. And police didn't do anything about it.
So do you consider Velvet Revolution a success?
That's a nice question.
That's a very good question. But what we really needed was, like, I really highly recommend to watch these Mafian stories. And sometimes I'm just thinking, I still can't believe I survived the 90s. Like, really, when I watched that and how deep it went, I just can't believe that we survived the 90s. And Dunajská Streda had it even worse, like what was there. And exactly, we had cars here that no other people were able to have those cars, and you knew, okay, go as far as possible from these type of cars, and especially if they had black cars, black windows, and everything. And like I said, like I can't believe I survived. And I remember Mom told me that her friend had NPS stanok. It's like a small place, usually next to bus stop, where you can buy the bus tickets, the newspapers, etc. They even went there and asked for money, otherwise they will burn out. So the next time they came there, he just gave them a key, and he goes, "The business is yours. I have no money to pay you. I hardly survive myself. If I pay you." So that guy literally gave them the keys and just left. Like, what's the point?
How strange it is that now when we are talking about burnout, you think totally of something else.
Yeah,
Not of this. Yeah, true, but
It's
you know.
burned down, not burned out.
And I remember my brother told me that even the people who were selling the fruits and veggies, like on the markets, even they had to pay. Like really everyone, literally everyone. And the police was not doing anything about it.
And they were part of it probably at some levels.
So what happened was we had the government change. and that's when it started really changing, and that's when the police started to get credibility again, and start like.
I think we are still not done like with this change.
We are still not done, and it will take maybe lots of generations.
I agree.
The question is if we can be ever done with it, because sort of, it's sort of a human nature to be smarter than the others, some of us, like there will be always this 2% of psychopaths between us who will be trying to outsmart everyone else and play with the system and get better of it and hold of it and consider it a game for them. So
they will try to take the high position.
Yeah. So it's possible that it's, unless you change the value system, unless you change the thinking behind it, the mindset of the people, and actually in this case nationality and nationwide change of mindset. Now I can't imagine that that's gonna be big. That's gonna be huge. So it's gonna take definitely a long time, and if at all. So
I usually, when we talk with my husband about this, we say we need much stronger education system. Like, we need to educate people about the history, recent history, not like what happened 1,000 years ago or 100 years ago, and also what it meant when people thought they have all the power, that the law doesn't apply to them. What happened? What kind of consequences it had? But Baruch started to ask me, what do I think of the Velvet Revolution? So let me ask you guys, what does democracy mean for you?
Well,
you start.
I had actually quite heated discussion with my sister when we went to Prague, actually during this time of Velvet Revolution, maybe 3-4 years ago. And this is actually when I still lived in China. So it's funny, I can actually compare communism and country in democracy at the same time, living in both.
Yeah, but the China communism is a little bit different than the one we had.
Yes, exactly. So that was one of my points when we had that heated discussion.
I can imagine a heated discussion. No. Yes.
Well, my sister was very defending this Velvet Revolution.
That's 6 years old, or that's a different
No,
one?
that's not.
No, that's a different sister. I mean, the 6-year-old is smart, but not that smart. And she very defended this Velvet Revolution because she respected it in the sense that, like, so many people sacrificed whatever, their lives, their type of life or anything, families, just to have that change in the system, which I'm actually not, I respect that as well, but at the same time it makes you question, like, people in China, yes, the political system is not great, there are still death sentences. But look at the US, for example, there are still also death sentences and they have democracy. So how much really the political system influences the life, your own personal life? So would I have better life if the democracy wasn't here? Probably no. Probably no. But at the same time, when I compare my life in China and my life here during my adult life, I would say I had better life in China.
Yes, but I spoke to my colleagues in China, and she told me how much China changed.
Yes.
And there is a communism, but there is also capitalism.
Yes.
You have like both worlds.
Yes.
Unless you're going into politics system or you're trying to change people's mind, they leave you alone, and as a foreigner or even as a Chinese person, if you're successful and you have a good job, then you are like, let's say, a star, right? So, but that it wasn't like that here. So, but before you were not allowed to even travel.
But who's to say it wouldn't be like it is right now in China?
That I don't know, because we are too small country, and that's a too big country, and they have lots of things in the ground that people are interested in. We don't have anything in Slovakia, so who would come and invest in here? So nothing. So nothing and no one. Without the democracy, we wouldn't be able to travel at all. You would still sort of, like, people try to leave.
That's a question. Would we not be? Because I'm not saying. I mean, looking at China, right? It's a good example because actually, when you compare it to other communist countries, it doesn't mean if you have communism, it cannot change.
Correct, but the political system or people in that party need to allow it.
Yes.
And they allowed it, that you have this both world in China. Because if you look at Vietnam or North Korea, and you've been in North Korea, you know, it's like compared to China, like China is like really modern, super modern country. And yet it's still not possible to compare, because there are other people making this decision even on European levels of where to go, and we will probably never find out in our lives, like, who those people are. The worst part is, like, if Ovca celá vlk city, we have this saying, so that the sheep is whole and the wolf is full, and that's what in 90s stopped working. And you suddenly had a huge, during the socialist time we had this, like, everyone had to have job, like everyone, and we were all equal because there was not much to buy in shops. We had almost all the same clothes because there was nothing else, and so unless people were helping each other, and so you didn't have access to this, so we were all equal because you just didn't have access to it. That was it. Then the 90s came, when suddenly even the middle class dropped to the lower class, and you just, either you start working hard, but then in which area are you going to start working hard? Because then the mafia came. If it was services, mafia came and you had to pay them. So you really had to start searching, like, where. Then we had the foreign companies coming here, but I really think that until the 2000, when the whole political system changed, that we now had democratic system, that they starting to even clean the police and everything, it started to be better. And I see now that what we are missing is more of a reform in education, and really people need to travel abroad, get that experience, come back, and then use the experience over here.
This is the thing, you know, like you just said it, they need to come back.
They need to come back.
They need to come back.
Yes.
She
came back.
she came back. You two came back, yeah. The question, the one thing which I would add there is not just that you need to have the experience at the education system, but you also need to have leaders there to create the environment, because without those leaders, they won't allow the education or the environment to be created for people to come back, or the will to come back. So if those people are not at the right moment, at the right time, at the right place, it's gonna take much more time and much more effort to create. Because you two came back, but are you somehow leaders changing something, you know, environment? You are with the diversity group, right? A bit, but again, it's a really small place, small how to say it?
Small social group.
Yeah, small social group compared to, for example, how much politicians have the capabilities. And if you were there, if you're listening, so that would be the impact.
Come back home.
Yeah. so that would be interesting to see how much it would change. I know that there are some efforts to change bits and pieces now. Right now, there is the change when it comes to educational system a bit, psychological system to have this more appropriate psychological help, and these efforts are there, but that's not enough. Not yet. So
Kola just said a very nice topic, leader schooling, development. So that's a good topic for next one. So that's how we're gonna end today. Hugo.
Hugo.
Hugo, Sasha samitsada.
Hugo, Sasha samitsda.
수고하셨습니다.
Bye bye.
Hugo, Sasha samitsda. Ciao, ciao.
Bye bye. This podcast represents our own opinions, experience, and our own ideas. We do not represent any official statement from our employers, and this is not their official channel representing the company.